Welcome to the podcast. This is Project Feel Good, guys. You know, I'm happy to have you guys on. I appreciate you guys coming over and jumping on with us. You know, especially both of you. Actually, I think y'all both drove back in from Rio Doso today, right?
So he went to Rio Doso today. I was there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So. Okay. So you got to relax today, and then you actually were out there all day long.
Yeah.
My day to relax was all day yesterday. I literally slept all day.
Was it hot out there, or was it pretty nice?
It was nice. I think when we left, it was like 91, but when we got there, it was like 75.
Nice. It's not bad. What about you, Freddie?
So mine, actually, I think we started off and it was 80 degrees when we got there. By the time we left, which was about 8, it was about 60 degrees. So 20-degree drop. But it was nice compared to over here.
Yeah.
100-degree weather.
Oh, man. It is way nicer over there.
Yeah, and for something to look like that place being so close to here, I definitely wouldn't imagine that. You know, that total complete change of scenery as soon as you get into there.
Yeah. I mean, we're out here in the desert over here in Roswell.
Yeah.
Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Good old Roswell with the aliens, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You seen all that stuff with the aliens lately?
Oh, yeah.
Can you believe that? Just out of nowhere, just dropping it. Just, yep, aliens are real. This is all the stuff, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they did that, a couple of years ago, right? Where they, I don't know, where they came out with like, oh, UFOs are real. We have like actual proof that they were real and stuff like that. And then now they're dropping like, they're not dropping anything, but we have all these people that are coming out about it and like talking about it nonchalantly.
Yeah. Did you guys happen to see that video from Vegas?
No.
Where that guy's camera in his backyard caught the aliens pretty much, and then the body cam of the cop actually caught the crash.
Dude, I think I remember seeing something like that where
It was
like the alien was standing behind like a bulldozer or a tractor or something like that, right?
No, this was just in his backyard, like by a tree. And the guy was on the phone with 911 saying, you know, like, this guy's, you know, this creature is staring at me. And he was like, it has big eyes and everything. And like right as the cops were driving there, they had seen another incident, and it was like a green bulb just come out of the sky. And like when the cops responded, you know, they were nervous. Like the guy was asking him, like his partner, like, man, what is that? Like, I don't believe it. And yeah, so another thing you have to look up here in a minute, but
That's pretty cool. I have not seen that video.
Yeah, I haven't seen that video. I guess I haven't seen that
like
one.
a month ago.
Don't you have a UFO story?
That would be Freddie.
Surprising enough, this actually happened right outside of Roswell, and it was probably 2 months ago. And I was driving home from work. It was a late night. We got off probably 7:30. Sun was going down already. So right there outside of, it's Hagerman, right? So right outside of Hagerman, you cross over the Pecos River. And that bridge right there, I was fixing to go over it on the way back. And I look up in the sky, and there are 4 or 5 red dots right in a cloud. And I was like, okay, what could that be? I pulled over, and by the time I pulled over, they were gone. So immediately I was like, okay, you know, what could that have been, right? So your mind just starts going, and you kind of think about stuff. And I call my wife up, and I'm like, hey, you know, I think I just saw something, right? And she laughs it off, and she's like, yeah, maybe, you know, maybe it was the Starlink, Elon Musk Starlink. I was like, yeah, but they were red, and I don't think the Starlink is red. I think it's more of a LED color light up in the sky. But that's mine, and surprising enough, that only happened 2 months ago. So
Maybe that was one of the UFOs they were talking about.
yeah, maybe, right?
Yeah. You saw it too, huh?
Unfortunately, I don't have any UFO stories. I haven't really seen anything out of the norm like that. Not yet, anyway. So, but this is Roswell, so you never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're bound to see a couple of things here, right? You either see UFOs or you see homeless people and crackheads.
Yeah. Seen quite a bit of that.
Yeah, man. It's so bad around here these days too, man.
It is.
Yeah.
We were just laughing because Katie was talking about they're building something out there by Walmart, right? And she was trying to tell me where it was at, and I was like, I'm trying to picture where it's at, right, in my head, and I'm like, are you talking about that little construction area right there next to like the homeless guy that has the little blue tent
right?
built up out there? And she was like, no, not right there. And I was like, that guy's been out there for months.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't know how he does it. It's like 110 degrees outside, and he's just chilling out there. I told her, I was like, I'm about 99% sure that dude's out there just freeballing it with like a little portable fan blowing, and he's just letting it hang, dude, just trying to let it ventilate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got one by the RV park actually, and he likes to bark at people.
What?
He likes to bark at people.
No way.
While they're letting their dog. He actually barked at me one time.
Really?
No shit.
he goes, because you guys park pretty far back in the RV park. So does he go in there or?
No. So where we're at, you gotta walk maybe, what would you say, 100 yards?
Yeah, football
to the
field,
dog
maybe.
park, and he'll stand on the other side of the fence where you can't see him, and he'll bark at you.
And the lady at the manager did let us know that he likes to do that.
Yeah.
And we were like,
I was like,
no
no
way.
way.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I get a phone call from him like, hey, this guy just barked at me. I was like, what?
Signing the contract. Full disclosure, there's a guy that just loves to bark at you. Just make sure you sign there and you look here to acknowledge that you know that.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, I told him better quit before I hop the fence.
I think Jared told me one time that he was out there that it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he said out of nowhere, just pop, 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 pop. Fires, gunshots were just being fired like crazy from the stripes across the street. I was like, bro.
Again, we're in Roswell.
Yeah.
So,
It's a fair point, man.
yeah.
It's pretty bad out here.
Yeah, I think when we first got here, it was nighttime, and like we had just put our kids down. Me and my wife, I had to take the trash out, and so she was gonna hang out in front with me and let the dogs out. And like as soon as we opened the door, we did hear some gunshots, and we immediately shut the door. And was like, "I'll get it tomorrow."
I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back inside now.
Dude, it's crazy out here, man. The violence is pretty crazy, but honestly, it's not outside of like the violence and stuff. Roswell's not that bad of a place. Like,
Yeah.
it's a pretty
touristy
decent
place.
tourist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And they're always doing stuff too. Like, if you're driving down Main Street, they're always doing something at that courthouse, and like, a bunch of vendors and stuff set up, food. And then it's actually pretty cool just to walk the strip here. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, and you guys just had your UFO festival.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I didn't go to it this year.
Yeah. It
No,
wasn't
I
bad.
didn't. Yeah. Did you go to it or?
Yeah, we both did.
Yep. Bought a couple stickers.
Yeah, that's about it.
Alien stickers?
That and middle finger with skulls.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Nice,
it's on
nice.
his cup right there. Here it is.
Let me see. Oh, okay. I see it.
Yeah.
Nice. I need me one of those.
Yeah.
Well, nice, man. Well, Riley, you were telling me you had some spooky stories, huh?
Yeah, man. So, first one was when I was probably about 8 or 9, and to the viewers, this is kind of religious, so I hope no offense to any of you viewers that are watching, but so about 8 or 9, I grew up with a Christian home, but I had not been baptized yet, and I remember when I would be at home, I always used to see like black objects go across the floor under my feet while I was watching TV. And like I would always tell my mom, like, hey, I just seen it. And she would just tell me, think of something else. And she was like, demons are lower, like better spirits are higher. So like you would always see them like higher up. And there was one day I was walking outside going to my friend's house, and across the street there was a brick wall that our neighbor had, because he had an old like a water runoff reservoir.
Mm-hmm.
And from that brick wall, I like just was almost to the end of my driveway, and I look up, and there's this dark figure with red eyes, like kind of peeking around the corner of the wall, and like I knew that was something I was not supposed to see. So like immediately, like my heart sank, and like as a little kid, like I got scared. So I went back inside and told my mom, and a week after that, I got baptized. Never saw it again.
So when you saw it, like,
It was like a. Basically, it was like peeking around the corner of the brick wall, and like I could just tell, like. It was almost like, the kind of, like it had a draw, like it was trying to get me to come over there, but I had been told enough of like what they're meant to do or trying to do, and so like I just seen it and got scared, ran back in, told my mom, brought her back out, pointed at where it was, but yeah, it was just one of those. It was watching me, and like I could kind of feel like it was wanting me to go to it, and yeah, it wasn't gonna happen.
he said I wasn't going over there.
Smarter than that.
And you said it was peeking around like your neighbor's brick wall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was across the street. So. Yeah.
It just wanted to give you some candy.
Yeah, right.
Free Wi-Fi nowadays.
Yeah. And even then, just like watching TV too, like I would see the black objects, like basically like a sphere go across the floor.
So like an orb.
Like an orb, yeah.
Yeah, so those things you see in pictures every now and then.
Yeah. But it would just be solid black, just go across the floor, like underneath my feet, and stuff like that. And once I got baptized, man, that all stopped. Haven't seen one since. So.
Oh man, that's chilling.
Yeah. So.
Thing was just watching you.
Yeah.
I wanted you.
Yeah. And then, I guess I do have one more. It was when I was out here in Roswell 3 years ago at this site. I went to visit my buddy in Waco, Texas, and on my way back, I don't know where I was at really, because my GPS took me down this shitty dirt road. And then it went to a dirt road and then a paved road, and it was raining real good, and I went through a pretty good storm, and then it let up, and then after it let up, like I had a light bar. I had the same bright LEDs I got on this truck, and this thing crossed the road, and I lit up its back, but my lights and everything, like just its face, like from the neck up was black. I couldn't see it. And I was like, at first I thought it might have been a deer, but then like when it really crossed the road and my brain established that it wasn't any kind of creature that I know, that's when like fear set in. So like it had long legs, like an arched back, and deers have like flat backs, and just a different stance. This kind of stood like it was a creature, like meant to be on its hind legs, but was on all fours at the time. Like if we were to do it like that, but super tall. And at that moment, I called my wife, and was like, "Hey, I just seen something. Stay on the phone with me because I don't feel comfortable right now." And we looked up pictures of like what stuff could be in the area, and it was a skinwalker.
Really?
Wholeheartedly. I mean, like I had like mad fear came over me when I seen it. Like I didn't know what to do.
No
I
kidding.
just kept driving, didn't even look back. Nothing. Just was on the phone with my wife for like a half an hour until I got home because of that. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that sounds pretty crazy, man. So
I
I've
can
never
imagine.
I've never seen like an actual skinwalker
You don't want to.
or anything like that, but man, that sounds pretty wild. Like, so did it have hair or?
I mean, it looked like, it was kind of like hairy-ish, but I mean, it was probably, 3 car lengths ahead of me when I seen it. And it just like, when it ran across the road, it was very awkwardly. And like, and when I couldn't see its face, knowing that I was lighting up the whole entire road perfectly, that's probably what scared me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like, just when you see something and you're not supposed to, like that's when your body's like, all right, I wasn't supposed to do that. What is that?
So how big was this thing?
I would say it stood height of a deer, you know, but its back was not normal.
Huh.
Yeah. So maybe to like like if I stand up, maybe to like my midsection.
Right.
So yeah.
Bro, that's that sounds chilling.
Yeah.
And what time of the night was it?
It was probably like 11:30 on the way back.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to envision like that Skinwalker, and I'd really love to know where.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you where. It was just on some road my GPS had me on. It was in the middle of the night too, so I mean driving back through again, I probably couldn't tell you.
I mean, like, so being a hunter and stuff, because I love hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some pretty crazy animals, mangy animals, you know, lost all their hair, just skinless, or hairless, I should say, not skinless, but they're pretty weird to look at. Animals without hair. So imagine a deer without hair. Right?
So I've seen that, but
Yeah.
just its back is what got me.
Yeah, the arched back, I can't really explain. I mean, the only thing that would arch its back like that, to me, would be like a coyote or something.
It was way too big for that. If that was a
by
coyote,
the sounds of it,
man.
yeah. That's a big coyote.
That's a big one, yeah.
The biggest coyote I've ever seen.
100%.
That's a trophy one right there.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess when I think of this thing running across the road, like what comes to my head is like,
Long arms.
have you ever seen like the movies where someone's like transforming into a wolf, a
Yeah,
werewolf, or
yeah.
something like that, right? And they're running, and then as they're transforming, they start running on all fours, and their backs arched, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what starts to come to my head whenever I'm thinking of like what you saw, right? So, was it like white, like pale white, or anything like that?
No,
or?
it was like a tannish, like a dark tan, like you know,
Like
hair.
a person.
I mean, yeah, I
pretty
guess.
dark tan.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I guess. I mean, it
Yeah,
like
okay,
on the
not
skinny
that dark,
side,
okay.
like yeah, and on the skinny side, like you know, seeing bone skinny, and just went across the road very like awkwardly, like the legs weren't in motion; they were all separate. You know.
So just kind of like, I guess trying to simulate.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Trying to do it with my
Yeah.
fingers here, right?
Looks like the tarantulas out here.
Yeah.
Oh man, that spooked me out.
100%.
I'd have skirt ran that fucker over.
Yeah. Like it was. I don't know. I didn't really react to anything besides once I passed where it was, I hit the gas. So.
And you said you were on paved already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of want to like put in GPS from like where you were coming from to Roswell, or were you
So-
staying here in Roswell, or were you staying?
I
somewhere?
was staying in Lovington.
Okay.
At the time, and so I do know. I think we're. So there's been a couple times I've had to take parts to other sites, and taking that way to get there. Like once you go outside Lovington or to come back into Roswell, it I guess from the Texas side, it either will bend around to bring you back to Roswell, or you'll take the Y to go to Lovington. And a little further back, there's a Allsups gas station at a light at an intersection, and I remember this gas station because it has, and I don't know, I haven't seen one here, but they have the Amazon package deliveries, like the lock boxes out front. And so far, that's the only gas station I've seen with it. So every time I pass that gas station, that's where, after I had seen it, I had to stop there to get gas. And then, and I came out from like a side road to get onto that main drag there to get to the gas station. So I'm not sure. I mean, I could probably point at the road like I went down that road, but where in relation to where I saw it, I couldn't tell you.
I mean, in the heat of the moment, dude.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't
that
expect-
was my last one. Drop a pin right
Yeah,
here.
let me
I
drop
saw.
a pin right
Yeah.
here. This is the spot. Don't
Yeah.
ever come around here no
Yeah.
more,
No.
dude. That's crazy. Somewhere in Texas, huh?
Yeah, it was between like the Texas and the New Mexico border, so like it was somewhere over there. I know. I probably had a good like hour drive back to here from where I saw him.
So it wasn't that far from here then.
Like
No,
Tahoka, maybe?
I don't know. So I took my GPS took me like the main highway, like 2-lane each highway, all the way there, and then coming back, I was like little town like stop sign roads.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, my GPS is taking me somewhere. I don't like it.
So, like, on my drive back to home and stuff, there's nothing in between these little towns. It's just land. That's it. So, I could see it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it was Josh. You know what? It might have not been Josh. It might have been Mike. I don't know if you ever met Mike Souza. He's Josh's cousin, but he told us at one point that that there was like a bunch of like Indian reservations near Oso, right? And like there used to be a bunch of Indian tribes out in this direction. And according to him, one of the legends is that there was a bunch of skinwalkers out in that area, right around Oso. And Oso has had some like pretty creepy stuff happen. I mean, when you're out at Oso, for the people that don't know, Oso Grande is a wind farm that's dead center in the middle of nowhere. So I mean, I'm talking an hour from Roswell, an hour from Lovington, Artesia. I mean, just any kind of more populated area is where Oso's at, right? And I mean, Josh even said that he saw something one time coming home from work. So he was driving back, and he said something similar to what you were saying. Something crossed the road, right? And he said it didn't look like anything that looked familiar. And then there was one night. Do you remember? I don't know if you ever met him, Roger. Roger Alva.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. So he was a tech. They came out to help us here at Oso a while back. He's actually in solar now, but when he was out here, he was working nights. And it was him and one of the other guys that had started out there. And they were in the turbine one night, and they were at the base. And they walked in, and he had a dash cam. You can see in the video, they both go inside the turbine, and one of them is messing with something on the touchscreen, and they open the door right. You can latch the door right to the handrail. And they latched it, and they were both in the turbine, and out of nowhere, the door started shutting. Like, and at first glance, right, it's like, oh, maybe it's the wind or something, right? It started shutting. Well, then it kind of gets to a point to where it stops moving, and then it, like, slowly starts opening back up again, right? And then it starts shutting again. And it was like, okay, maybe it's the wind, right? So then you see one of them, I'm pretty sure it was Roger. You see Roger walk out, and he like looks behind the door, and he's trying to like fill it up to see what the heck's going on. Like, oh, did this thing not go in, or did the pin not go in the hole, and maybe that's why it opened or whatever. So he opens it and then pins it again, goes back inside of the turbine, right? And then he's in there messing with the touchscreen, and again, you just, I don't know where you see the door just start closing again, right? Just start closing right behind him. And dude, it was funny because you just see him walk out, and he looks at the door again, and then he just takes off walking to his truck, and the other dude just runs out, looks around, and then goes to his truck too. He told us about it the next morning, and he's like, I didn't go to that tower again, bro. I didn't go back out there again. I'm not doing that. Hell no. He was all scared. But it just, things like that happen out here, right? So it wouldn't surprise me that, being that it was only an hour away, right, and you saw what would seem to be a skinwalker, that doesn't surprise me. There's probably a bunch of weird, like, crazy, supernatural type of things out here that, I mean, hell, they say Roswell's known for aliens, right? So why not?
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing like that, like with the door, but I come down tower late one night. I was working night shift too when I was out here. And then it was me and another guy from Inga team. And we come walking out. We've been up tower all day, or like half the night anyway. And we come walking out, and we heard this cough. Like, we were like, there's nobody out here. What was that? And it coughed again. And like, we were like fidgeting with our headlamps and everything. His headlamp was dead. Mine was on the verge of dying, so it didn't do no good. And so we took off running to the truck, and I turned my headlights on, and it was a cow. I didn't know. I was like, just running back to my truck, not knowing what the heck is coughing behind me.
Cows can cough now.
Yeah, they can, man. It was something.
Oh, man. What about you, Freddie? What else have you seen, bud?
So I've got a few.
Ooh.
The one, I'll start with the one, since we were just talking about the door at the turbine.
Mm-hmm.
So this happened in a little town where my wife's family's from. Little town, Strawn, Texas. If anybody knows it, it's because of the restaurant there, Mary's Cafe. So my wife's mother lives in a house in Strawn that belonged to her mom. So my wife's great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
No, I said that backwards. So my wife's mom's grandma. So it would be Sierra's great-grandma.
Okay.
But, so anyways, we're the only ones in the house. Her mom's working, and unfortunately enough, we had been arguing. And so, little backstory, her grandmother passed away. Sierra's great-grandmother passed away when we had first got together. So we're in this house alone, and we had been arguing. Well, it got time to go to bed, so we lay down. Sierra falls asleep, and I'm sitting there. The door's completely shut. I shut the door. Out of nowhere, I'm looking at this door, and it opens up completely. And so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I didn't shut it right. And then it slams shut. Slams shut. Wakes Sierra up, and she said, "What was that?" And immediately, I'm super apologetic in the moment. Like, I don't know if it's your great-grandma or what, but this door just slammed. I'm sorry. I love you. Let's not fight in this house ever again.
Let's wait to fight when we
Yeah,
leave.
yeah.
I don't want great grandma to mess me up.
No, but that one was pretty real for me. I've always been weary ever since that happened. But I mean, even my wife's mom, you know, that's the house she lives in, and she's seen things and heard things, and she's been touched. Woke her up out of her sleep. I think one time she told me that she had seen something like in her room, and it just like disappeared into a corner. But I mean, who knows? I mean, could it be her grandma? Maybe. I mean, could it be something else? I mean, nobody really knows. But that's one of my stories. But
You know what's always crazy with that too, right? Like, so when people are like, you know, maybe it's her grandma, maybe it's something else, right?
yeah,
What we always see in like these haunting stories, or like the exorcism movies, or just any sort of like typical movie like that or story like that, right, where we're talking about the paranormal, it always starts with like a family member passes, and then the living is trying to reach out, right? You know, oh, I miss my grandma, or I miss my mom, or
yeah,
you're right. And it always starts out with like those little things, and then you welcome whatever into your home, right, thinking that it's your relative or somebody that you miss or you love.
and it's not.
And then it's not, right? And then you start getting all these crazy, right? That's how they always start. So it's like, ooh, you know, maybe it is her grandma, but I'd be in that room like, Grandma, you just
Yeah.
need to go on and get now.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a door do something like that to me before once, but it wasn't. So this actually wasn't like at a family member's house or anything. So a couple years back, I want to say like maybe 2015. I lived in Levelland. I was going to college up there, and I had a pretty close group of friends that I was going to school with, as well as another friend that I had met there in Levelland while I was going to school. But I met him because of the car scene and cars and stuff like that, right? And one night we were all hanging out, and I don't know. It usually happens, right, when you're in a group and someone gets a wild hair up their ass and they're like, let's go do something sketchy, right? It's typically how it starts, right? Well, somebody was like, hey, there's this abandoned building in Littlefield. It's an abandoned hospital or something like that. It's like run down, tore down or something like that. And I was like, let's go check it out, right? Let's go see what it...
You were that friend with the wild hair. Yeah.
Hey, they mentioned it. I was like, all right, I'm down. Let's go. So we drove from Levelland to Littlefield, we went in separate cars. It was me and my buddy in my car, and then our other friend and her friends. They were all friends, right? But we were all in like this other car. And same night, there was supposed to be some haunted road in Littlefield that, you know, apparently the cult go out and sacrifice goats or whatever. I don't remember. I mean, this is so far back at this point, right? But we went and checked out the road first, and we took a bunch of pictures being dumb, and we were just like freaking freshmen in college. I was like 20, I think. So this was years back, right? So we went out there, we checked that out. There was nothing. Then we went to the hospital, and me and my buddy Chris, obviously we parked like 2 blocks down just in case the cops came. It's trespassing, right? So you're not supposed to be, you know, just we were not trespassing. But anyways, we went into this building, and I'm trying to remember what the girls were doing. I think they were on the first floor. And when you walk in, like the whole front of the building was like caved in. But there was like, I don't know if it was a handicap ramp or like stairs that went upstairs. I can't remember, man, for the life of me. But what I do know is there was like a lobby area, and then there was like more office space and stuff to the right. And then you could go like upstairs, you know, to the left, right? Mm-hmm. So my buddy Chris and I, we went upstairs. And mind you, this is like a building that's collapsed, so probably not like the most safe thing to do. You know, I don't recommend people to go trespassing into abandoned places. Not that we did that. But we went upstairs, and we were joking about something. I think we were talking about like, oh, what if we saw something or something, you know, just something dumb like that. And we're walking right towards this door, and out of nowhere we heard something just go boom. And I was like, what the hell is that? We look forward, and there's a door, right? Just like this big metal door. And it goes boom. And then it starts going doom, 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 doom. Like it was opening and closing, slamming. Yeah. And getting faster and faster. And I mean, I shit you not. Chris and I looked at each other, and he gave me that look like I'm out, and I was like, I'm out with you. And he bounced, bro. He was chopping. And I'm sitting there behind him, and we had like our phone for a flashlight, right? So I'm poor. I'm in college. I got this cheap, crappy Walmart phone with like the light barely flashes like a foot in front of you. So he turns around and he's chopping, and I'm like trying to see too, and I'm chopping too, and I'm like stepping over debris trying to figure out where I'm running.
Slow down.
Bro. So we booked it out of there. By the time that we were going down back to the first floor, I guess the girls saw us running, right? So they see us running. Their first instinct is something's going on, so they take off running. So we're all running out of this hospital, right? But all I can just imagine is just looking at that door, and just out of nowhere, man, just for no reason. There was no wind. There was nothing. And it was it looked like a pretty heavy door. It sounded like a pretty heavy door, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine that it would take some force to move it back and forth like that. But I mean, it was just shutting, opening, slamming back and forth for like just, and I was like, ooh.
And of all places, abandoned hospital.
Yeah,
the things that a hospital sees.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't nobody's grandma though. So.
Oh no, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, if Sierra ever asks you to go back to the house, man, don't ever go.
Oh, I go back to the house.
Mine's just P's and Q's.
We don't argue in that.
on my best behavior when we're there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Puts everything back the way you found it.
Yeah. Babe, do you need anything? Do you want a massage? Yeah. Do you want me to go get you some food? You just tell me what you need, and I'll go right now.
Oh, as long as she's with me. I probably wouldn't get up by myself and go get her food. But I'm playing.
My wife's sister, she's dabbled in Ouija boards several times.
Oh, I don't do that.
Including letting her 5-year-old son do it as well. So.
Oh no.
Yeah, man. Luckily, he hasn't showed any signs of having an imaginary friend or any of that yet. That was the case, he wouldn't be coming over anytime soon. But no. But she cremates people for a living, so kind of probably takes a special kind of person to do that. And with her doing all that, she kind of fits the job. So.
Oh. Yeah. That's fair. So she's like in the. Well, I mean, I really don't know like much about cremation or anything like that, but I imagine that they're in. They're in the. I'm trying to say nursing home for whatever reason.
No, so I mean, it'll be like a
It's a
building.
crematory. So Roswell's actually got one. I think it's by Ashley's Furniture Store. That big white, old, scary looking place. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. It's a different building, right? Than like the. Dang it, man.
Funeral home.
Yes,
Funeral home.
different place in the funeral home. So I imagine that they transport them right from the funeral home over
Probably.
So her facility actually has the funeral home up front, and this is like in the back.
to. Okay.
You know, they also got the freezer and stuff back there too, but so it's like all wrapped up into one place. She's actually let me take a tour of the place before, and that was something, you know, seeing people in body bags, a little toe like tag and whatnot hanging off, and it was something.
Man, so on my last episode, I had Aubrey, Jared's wife, on here, right?
Yeah.
And she's got a friend who does the autopsies when someone passes away, right? So he does like a bunch. I'm pretty sure she said he does the autopsies, but he also has a podcast, is what Aubrey was telling me, and he talks a lot about like the stuff that he sees doing like these autopsies, right? Because I imagine that like when you do an autopsy, it's pretty quick, right? Someone passes away, especially if there's like a murder or something like that, right? And the way I imagine, I don't know this for sure, right? But the way that I imagine it is like when you have to do an autopsy, sometimes it's random, middle of the night or something like that, depending on what's needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine just being, you know, at the building at 2, 3, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're doing this autopsy, and then, you know, you're surrounded by a bunch of other bodies, right? Because that's where they're all at, right?
Yeah.
And then I can just imagine the kind of stuff that you see here, or
I
just
think there's a movie about that.
really.
I think there is. Honestly, I think it's called Autopsy.
If one
I'll have
moves,
to- I'll
I'm
have to
gone.
look it up. Oh yeah,
If
yeah.
one moves, I'm
Yeah,
gone.
the movie, you're like, I'm never going in one of these places.
Dude, the thing that would get me if I turn around and I see like a body just
a body
lifted up,
bag
yeah,
just
sitting
sit
up, buddy, you're getting that right hook, buddy. I'm out of here.
I just turn the lights off and I lock up.
Just like you didn't see it. Just
You finish the autopsy for me. We'll see you later.
yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Oh man. No, I mean, I guess honestly, it might take a special type of person to do that as well, right? You know, I wouldn't say like special type of person, but maybe just
the mindset, you know,
Yeah.
You
to
gotta
be
really
okay
wanna-
with that. You know,
you gotta really want to do that, man.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know what would drive somebody to want to, you know, like do
Just
that in specific.
fascinated with, you know,
I've got a cousin that wants to do that. I think she wants to do autopsies. So
yeah. So that's where she
seems
went.
fine. I don't know what inspired her to want to do that, but
All right. Well, what about your other stories? What else you got?
so when I was younger, this is before I can recall things. It was Christmas. I want to say my mom told me I was maybe 3. So we're in our house, and it's Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas morning comes, and you know I'm sitting on the ground in front of the tree, opening up presents. My mom's taking pictures and stuff, and when my mom takes the camera, so back in the day, you know, I guess they didn't have cameras that you could like look at the photos. It was maybe one of those cheap Walmart cameras, the disposable ones that you have to go and take the film in and get all the pictures and stuff. So she takes the camera, gets all the pictures, and she's going through these pictures, and she gets to a picture of me sitting at the foot of the tree, opening presents, and above me, she said there was a old man in a, what kind of hat did she say the other night? Just one of those, so you think of an old man wearing a plaid button-up shirt, and he's got on like some kind of hat, not a cap, but like a hat.
Is it like a top hat, like the ones that kind of?
Yeah, but not it. Maybe not like a top hat like Abraham Lincoln, but like, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of hat.
Right.
And she said that he was just there looking down at me. And she said she got freaked out, threw the picture away, didn't think about it, but she swears by that story. And come to find out, I think she said that an old man had passed away because she started digging and doing stuff, passed away in that house. But she also said that she thought that maybe it could have been a family member because she had seen pictures of, I think, my grandma's family, somebody that passed away, maybe one of her brothers or something. But that's one of them, and I was not affected by it. I didn't know what was going on, but obviously it freaked my mom out enough to remember that and recall that kind of stuff. And but that's one of them. I would kill to see the picture.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm a little disappointed that you threw the picture away, man. That'd have been cool. I'd have framed it and hung it up somewhere and been like,
blew it up. That's me. That's, I don't know.
Whoever.
Yeah.
That's Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But there's that one, and then so later, I'd probably say about 16, 17. So we move into this house, and I have no idea what it was. Our neighbor had passed away, and it was an older lady. They had a big estate sale, and my mom bought an ottoman.
An ottoman.
An ottoman is, I believe, if I'm correct, it's kind of like a big dresser thing.
It's like one of those like closets, right?
Yeah. So
Ooh, I'm getting like,
yeah.
And I mentioned this in the last episode, but have you seen The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Right, and they move into that house, and there's that big dresser, closet looking thing. That's an ottoman?
That's an ottoman.
Hell no, dude. That's asking for
So
hauntings.
thankfully, we put it in my brother's room.
Shout out to the brother.
Yeah, shout out. But he would wake up in the middle of the night, say somebody was watching him, just freaky stuff. He'd come out of his room screaming and crying. I was in my room one day, and 16, 17-year-old, I'm texting my girlfriend in my bed, and I'm facing, so I was in the corner of a wall, just like this. My bed was right here, and I was facing that way, texting.
Mm-hmm.
I got the weird feeling that something was behind me and watching me. So I turn around, just like this, and a shadow. I didn't have a face, didn't have a body. It looked like a big shadow. Jumped through me. Didn't feel anything when it jumped through me, but it jumped, and immediately my first instinct was to kind of like ball up, like I was being hit by something. But that freaked me out pretty bad. So I told my mom, I was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I think it has something to do with this ottoman. My brother's freaking out all the time. I think we need to get rid of it. So we get rid of it. Nothing.
Dude.
Everything stops.
What'd y'all do with it? Did y'all take it to like the dump or?
I don't know if my mom sold it or took it to the dump or what, but we got rid of it. So I think that's all of my scary stories, like ghost-wise.
That one gave me the chills, man. The whole ottoman thing.
That was a big one because it just everything started happening whenever we got that ottoman, and I don't think it was that old lady because we knew the old lady. She was nice to us all the time. We would go over there, help her out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was her, but whatever it was, it didn't have good intentions. It was an evil presence. Yeah.
Bro. And every time that you're telling me about this ottoman, I just keep thinking of like The Conjuring and that dude.
That thing
yeah, whenever like there's that scene where like I think she hears like she turns around and the door's open, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the little girl. I don't remember, but there was that scene, right? And she looks up and that thing is just staring at her. That's all I could think about.
If I would have seen that, I probably would have. All right, I'm packing my bags.
Yeah, bro. Something jumped on me from the top of that thing. I'm out.
Yeah.
Sell the house or let it burn. I don't care. Claim insurance.
Yep. 100%.
That's crazy, man. That is so crazy. That sounds so spooky, though.
It was. And I was just at that age, like where I understood things a little better.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was off. So I was just like, look, I think it's that ottoman. We got to get rid of it. But
Right.
So we got that ottoman, but I had a blanket for the longest time, a big old sleep blanket. And I had it after we got rid of the ottoman and nothing. It was a comfy blanket.
So everything just stopped? Like,
Just stopped.
y'all got rid of it? He stopped having, like, the nightmares and
Yep.
stuff? You know, it's so crazy how that works, man.
Yeah.
So crazy. So, shout out to my sister. I bring up my sister here. When she was in high school, she used to have, and she knows, she says they're, what is the word? It's called, you call them night terrors, I guess, but I'm trying to think of the scientific name for it.
I think it is.
Anyways, where, like, you wake up, right, and you're asleep and you can't move, and, like, usually you see a figure somewhere or whatever, right? Well, she used to have those her senior year of high school. And she would go to sleep, and she'd wake up, right, in the middle of the night in her dream, right? And she said that there would be, like, a figure in the corner of the room, and it would have, like, these, I can't remember if it had red eyes or if it was a figure or what. But she said it would come to her, and it would get on top of her, right? And it would, like, start to hold her mouth. And she said she'd be screaming in her dream, screaming, trying to, like, get my mom to wake up or whatever. And nobody would come. But she said that when she would scream, it was like nothing was coming out, right? And she had these dreams all the time. It was like every single night she had this dream. And my mom went to a pastor there in Freona where we lived and asked if he could come bless the house. And the pastor, I guess, was like, "No, I'm good. You on your own, homie," or something. But he was like, "You need to bless your house," is what he told her, according to my sister, right? I was too young at this point, or I just don't remember. But so my mom's pretty religious, right? She's, like, actually very religious. And so she went to the house and she blessed the house and was, like, damning whatever it was, like, "Get out of my house," and doing the whole ooh thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And my sister said that after that, like, she never had these dreams anymore. She never had these nightmares or anything like that. And she tells me now she still has, like, night terrors every now and then. But she was like, well, she's like, maybe it was just a mental thing. Like, I subconsciously was like, oh, my mom blessed the house. It's gone. I'm good now. And then mentally she stopped having the dreams. But, oh, no, for it to just be so coincidentally, bless the house and no more.
Gone.
Yeah, so my growing up, my neighbor, his dad experienced something like that, and I remember him telling us that story. He said it happened to him like twice, but it would be in the middle of the night, and he just would remember, like, waking up just, like, sweating so bad, and, like, when he would try to get up, he couldn't move, and, like, he would see this dark figure over him, and when he would look over to see his wife just still sleeping, and him just, like, trying to fight, as hard as he can to wake her up or to get, to move and to get this thing off him. And he was like, "Dad, there was one time I felt like it was forever, like, all night. He held me there, or whatever it was, just held me there." And, like, he would just wake up, just the whole bed would be soaked from him sweating so bad, and just scared.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Dude, crazy stuff happens, man. And it's always at random moments. Like, my wife reminded me, and I completely forgot about this, but when we lived at our house in Edgewood, I'm trying to remember if I was there or not. I don't think I was. I might have been at work, or I might have been out of town for work. But her and her mom, my mother-in-law, were there at the house with the kids. And she said they were just in the living room talking. There was, like, nothing crazy or anything like that. There was no windows or doors open, mind you, right? And no breeze or anything. We don't have no crazy AC or anything like that. And they were just sitting there talking, and out of nowhere, she said that the curtain, like, pulled towards her. Like for example, like this curtain right here. Mm-hmm. Like, something pulled it and then pulled it out towards her, right? And she looked at it and was like, and looked at her mom, and I guess her mom saw it too, right? And she was like, "What the?" She was like, I don't fucking, there's no breeze. So they, like, checked the windows and stuff, checked the doors, and, like, we're just checking everything to try and make up an explanation as for why this, this curtain just lifted up out of nowhere, right? And she couldn't find anything. And nothing else happened that day, but she couldn't explain why that happened. But then, you know, we were talking about the last episode that we had when we were talking about some of the stuff that happened at the Edgewood house. And we did see some, like, pretty crazy stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie. We had some instances where, like, there was one night we were sleeping, and it looked like a car pulled up, which was pretty typical because we lived on the top of this little mountain, or, like, the side of a mountain, and our house was at the top of the hill. So you drove up to a gate to get to our house, and then there was nowhere else to go, right? So if you went the wrong way, right, because you could go right to our house, or you can go left down the road to, like, a couple other houses, right? And if you went the wrong way, you'd pull up to our gate, and then you'd have to back up, turn around, go somewhere else, right? And so it looked like somebody drove up and stopped, which was typical. But what really spooked us was whenever it stopped, I looked over to the window, and it was like a full, like, shadow, like a full-grown man, like, walked by the window. And I was like, what the fuck, right? Because the reason, you know, if you think about it, like, oh, you know, maybe somebody was walking in front of the car or something, right? But I mean, it was full-grown shadow walking by our window. So at this point, I get up, and I go to the window, and I'm looking outside. There's no car, right? There's nothing out there. So I was like, all right, maybe they backed up and left or whatever. But what really got me was in order for somebody to genuinely be walking by the window like that, and it didn't look like a shadow, like somebody walking in front of the car. It looked like straight up a body moving in front of our window. And the reason why it was so creepy was because if you walk outside, I'm about 5'8", and the bottom of the window is to, like, my shoulders from the ground, right? So somebody would have to have been walking on, like, stilts. Yeah, right? It would have been an 8-foot dude walking by there, right? So that happened, right? And then just a couple of other, like, creepy things, and there was always something going on in that house. And I don't know that the house was haunted or anything, but I know that the girls hated sleeping in their own rooms in that house. So, like, we had our room in that house was pretty big. It was probably, like, the size of, like, the dining room and the kitchen here. And so at the time, Serenity was still young enough where she was in a crib, and then Jocelyn was still small enough where she was, like, in a twin bed. So neither of them wanted to sleep in the rooms. So we, like, moved her twin bed in our room and the crib in our room. So we had, like, our oldest to the left and our youngest in front of us, and then our big king size bed right in the middle of the bed. But it was just, they were out in the middle of nowhere, right? So, like, if I was traveling or anything, they would all sleep in the room. And then I guess they just got accustomed to it. But we did see some crazy stuff in that house, or have some crazy stuff happen in that house.
So my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, they live out in the middle of nowhere too. And so they live probably 30, 45 minutes away from Strawn, Gorman. And they say that they've seen some crazy stuff. So they've got this long driveway that if somebody pulls in, kind of similar, you could see the lights. But they would have, her sisters told me stories of if somebody were to have a flashlight and be, like, at the window. Dang. And so they only have one neighbor that lives close to them, and it's across the road. And somebody actually, I think a family got murdered there.
What?
Yeah. So this happened when they were living there. And her husband at the time was out of town. And it was just her whenever they got murdered there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think it was like the grandparents and then a wife or something, and the boyfriend had murdered all three or something like that.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Crazy stuff, right? But on multiple occasions, she said that even with the husband there would be lights that would look like a flashlight go across the window. They'd go outside. And I mean, so their house is diagonal to the road. So, I mean, you're not going to see those lights passing if it was a vehicle. So the husband would go outside and walk around the house and nothing. But that's, I don't know what that could have been, but kind of weird.
And you said that was like out of town?
Oh yeah, it's out in the country.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Creepy, dude.
Yeah.
It's always the house is right, like, out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It's never the house is in town. Does somebody live in that house now, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, people moved back into that house for what reason? I don't know why. But I wouldn't. I guess when you need a place to be.
I wonder if they see stuff.
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Still some stains on the floor and whatnot.
Dude,
I
swear.
would not be.
I would not live in that house if there was
No.
still blood stains, dude.
No, that's
I guess-
a lot of blood too. 3 people.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah. I can just imagine, man. I could imagine being the person to have to clean that up. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, there was when I was home last, about probably 45 minutes from my town. There's another town called Wallace, and there was an individual who murdered 4 people, all because their son was 18 and he had 2 younger daughters, and he kept exposing himself.
I think
to his,
I heard about that on
to,
the news.
to his kids, and finally that guy just had enough. Went over there, whacked the kid, his brother, the mom, and the grandpa. Everybody had enough.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been a very long time since anything like that has happened in that town, violent wise.
But it doesn't surprise me, dude, because there's so like many crazy people out there nowadays, right? And you thought you would hear about this like more in like the 1900s, the 70s and 80s, people going crazy and stuff. But man,
Oh no, it's worse now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was his words too. And court was, I just snapped. I was like, that's a big snap, dude.
that's a
Yeah.
very very thin twig, buddy.
Yeah, man. You know, going from living a normal life to not being able to see anybody anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, but I guess it goes back to like you don't really know what anybody's going through, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
that guy was
Yeah.
stressed and
Yeah, there's probably a lot more underlining issues in that.
definitely, right? I mean, there has to be for people to just go off their rocker and start whacking other people, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Freaky thing. So me and Riley check out this missile silo, and there's these platforms, right? I think there's 2 platforms before you get down to the silo.
Yeah, 2.
So on the first platform, when we got down there, we were just exploring. In the middle of the room was a little girl's dress with blood on it.
No.
Yeah, bro. And
Yeah.
it
It gave
it
me
looked old
chills.
too. It was like
Yeah.
old brittle dress, you know.
But I mean, who's to say that something didn't happen there and then just off the side of down to the missile silo?
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's terrible. It made me think about my kid.
Well, 100%.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We were just thinking, how crazy would that be for 2 guys not trespassing, by the way. Figure out a unsolved mystery or unsolved murder.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how those things happen.
Yeah, well, and I'd imagine you guys aren't the only ones that have been down there.
No, well, maybe actually getting to the bottom of the silo, we'll probably be the first ones in a very long time to get down to that.
You guys need to let me know when y'all go out again. I'd love to check those things out. That would be interesting.
Yep.
They're pretty cool, man. Yeah,
Sketchy, I bet.
yeah, sketchy for
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
The little girl dress, that gets me. Like I could just imagine just be going going down there and checking it out and then starting to hear like a little girl's laugh or something like that.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, I probably wouldn't.
I would look
Wouldn't be
over
in
and Fred
there.
would be like, Freddie, where'd you go? And he'd be already halfway upstairs.
Jesus, man. What if that's where the Skinwalkers hide?
Damn.
Down at the bottom, you just shine a light and see just multiple creatures.
Just a bunch of little
see
just
something
creatures.
crawling up the wall.
Just looking at me.
No, man, I've seen some pretty crazy stuff on the road specifically, not like a skinwalker or anything like that, but we used to your brother-in-law, Edward, ask him about it. I think I told you to ask him about it next time you saw him. The ghost car is what we called it, right? So it just, I guess, very long story short, we've seen it I saw it a couple of times, but the last time that I saw it, it was Edward and I. We went to Plainview, and we went to go hang out with some people, and some plans fell through, and it ended up just being us kind of driving around through the night, trying to find something to do, in Plainview. Mind you, we're in high school, right? So we're both like, I think 18 at this point, and we're just looking for something to do in a town that we're not very familiar with, right? But it's an hour away from where we were, Hereford. So we're driving around, and it starts getting real late. I mean, it's probably, at this point, I don't know, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, dude, let's just go home, right? It was already late when we got there, so it was only a couple hours after. We were just like, dude, let's go home. So we went home. On the way back, we were between, oh, man, I'm trying to remember, Hart, I think it is, maybe. It's a little town between Plainview and Hereford. It's like Plainview, Hart, Dimmitt, and then Hereford, right? So we were between Hart and Dimmitt, and we were driving, right? And out of nowhere, it gets like super foggy, and we're just kind of cruising around. I think we're going like 75 or something like that, and it gets like super foggy. And Edward was driving, mind you, right? Because it was late, and I was already pretty fucking tired. So I was like, hey, you drive, whatever, you can drive. He's like, okay. So he's driving, and it gets super foggy, and out of nowhere, it's going to sound real cliche, right? But out of nowhere, lights turn on behind us, right? And we're just like, there was nobody behind us outside of the fog. What the hell, right? And out of nowhere, it was a ways back. I would probably say maybe like a quarter mile back. And within like a matter of seconds, dude, this car was like on our ass. And Edward, this is not like the first time we've seen this ghost car. We saw it a couple times already at this point. And the first time that we ever saw it, we were at this place called Veterans Park. And when we saw it, the night that we saw it, there was somebody driving it. They pulled in, we pulled in behind them. And the people that were in the car, their heads were like bobbing in the car, and they turned around, and they all had red eyes.
Dang.
That was the first time we saw it, right? So anytime that we saw the ghost car afterwards, we were terrified, right? Because of the very first instance. So at this point, Edward's freaking out, and I'm pretty sure he cried. He'll probably tell you he didn't cry.
I'm going to give him shit.
But I'm pretty sure he was crying. I mean, hell, I probably was crying too because, dude, we were terrified, right? So I'm just like, dude, punch it. And he like slams the gas, and we're in this like beat up, I wouldn't say beat up, but like an old V6 Monte Carlo. So, I mean, as fast as you can punch it, right? Mm-hmm. We were punching it. And we were probably doing like 90 at this point. And this car is just like not coming off of our ass. Yeah. And so we're just like hauling ass, and we're both just like driving. And I'm like, I don't remember if it was him or if it was me, but one of us was like, please, God, please just let us get the hell away from this fucking car. Come on, God, please. And we're just driving, freaking out, right? And I mean, I kid you not, as we drove out of the fog, it was like the car, like the fog, it just started.
As far as it went?
It was as far as it went. And then since that night was the last time we ever saw the ghost car.
That's crazy.
That's
right?
some Jeepers Creepers stuff.
Bro, it was
I'm gonna ask Edward about that.
He'll tell you. He'll remember that damn ghost car. I know he will. I know he will. And then it wasn't just us two, right? Like, another buddy that we had, Chris, and another guy that we knew, Toby. Those buddies, we all saw it the first time. And then the second time that we saw it, we were coming back from the track. And when you leave the track, you leave at like midnight. Then you go to Whataburger or whatever on the way out. So you're there till like 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And we never took the highway from Amarillo to Hereford. We took the back road because it was dead, right? And that was the second time we saw the ghost car. So like 2 instances where the 4 of us were together and we saw the car. And then Edward and I were together the third time where we saw the car. So just those 3 times. And it was always the same thing. Just lights appear, things on your butt. In a matter of like seconds, right? And then it's like slowing down and speeding up again, and then just disappears.
Dang,
that's crazy.
So I have so when you said ghost and car, kind of brought 2 and 2 together for me. When I typically see things that happen, I tend to forget about them. But anyway, me and my uncle were headed back from North Dakota one night when I was fracking, and we were in Montana. I was driving, and he was in the passenger seat chilling on his phone, and it was in the middle of the night. We're driving, and we see what looks like thin fog in the air, and there was water off to the side. So and it was kind of in the colder months, so we thought maybe that was like some fog ahead. So we were like, whatever. But like as we drove into it, it was just like this one little like clump, I guess. And like as we drove into it, it passed through the car between both of us and out and it was like almost slow motion. Like we seen it and then like we both like just watched it go through the entire car. And then both of us after that we were like, you know, it was quiet for a minute. And then my uncle was like, "Did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, I saw that." And we were both just like, "That was crazy." Like, keep going.
And you're saying it was like
Just like
a thick piece of the fog, almost like it just went through the car?
That's what it seemed like, but it had to have been a ghost. That's the only thing, you know, just standing in the middle of the road. So like for it to pass through us like that and, you know, not move, like it just went right in between us and like we watched it and everything, but it was just white. Like there was no face or nothing. It was just all white coming through the car. And like I remember that, and just it was funny just because how quiet we were for a minute. You know, neither of us were, you know, wanting to ask each other, you know, look crazy like, "Hey, did you see that?" You know, one of us, "No, I didn't see it." No, but yeah, we both saw it, and that definitely freaked us out for sure. Yeah.
If you think you saw it, no, you didn't.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh man,
And then Montana's had a couple deals. My second R&R from here last time, driving home, behind a mountain, there was a large blue light that just illuminated the sky real fast, and then went away. And I knew I was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was in the middle of the night, and one of those things again. I didn't see it. Keep going. I don't even want to know what it was. Yeah, but just behind the mountain, like there was nothing there. I knew where I was at. I've been through there during the day, and I'm in the mountains. I'm nowhere, and for it just to light up blue, and then immediately go away. Yeah, I wanted nothing to do with it. Just keep driving.
Yeah, see, but those are the type of things where I could I'll talk myself out of it and be like, it must have been a comet.
Yeah, something.
It was a comet. That's what it was. At this day and age, definitely UFO, right? Because I mean, they're pretty.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty world accepted at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Oh man, my camera just died again. What the fuck?
Did it get hot?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, if it did, that's fine. But no, man, I appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Yeah,
you guys got some pretty crazy stories, man.
Oh, yeah.
Very interested to talk some more. If you guys have some more stuff come on or anything like that, maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about the mental health side of the podcast. But
hey,
yeah,
100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, man, Freddie, Ryley, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for jumping on. So we'll talk soon, man.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.